Upholstery and spend the day in my workroom with me as I make this king-size headboard. I hope you like it. This headboard is for my sister's client, and she is an interior designer, and she's the whole reason why I became an upholsterer. And I love working with her because she always chooses the best fabrics. Oh my goodness, this is one of my favourite fabrics ever. It's 100% linen, perfect shade of olive green. I love it. It's going to look so nice. It's a Fermoie. Actually, having a look at it, it wouldn't be too hard to join, but I reckon I could get away with railroading it, which would mean that there's no join. And obviously, yeah, perfect. I'm going to railroad it. Railroading it means you use it sideways. You can railroad some fabrics, some you can't. If it's got like this is quite an abstract pattern, which doesn't have to be going, it can work in any direction. Whereas like obviously a velvet, sometimes some velvets you can railroad, sometimes you can't. But railroading is really handy, especially if you're doing a sofa or something, or like a really big headboard. If you don't want to have a join or a seam, obviously I try and match them as perfectly as I can, but there's always going to be there's a stitch mark, of course there is, and you're pulling and stuff, and so you can see a seam no matter how beautifully you join it. And so by railroading it, I'm just avoiding having a seam, so it just looks like a much sleeker finish. So if you can railroad it, I try to. Yeah, this works, so that's brilliant. And it also saves on fabric, which is good. Because obviously if I was to join it, I'd have to cut this whole panel, and then I'd have to cut another whole panel just to join the side. I can already tell this is going to be a good project. So there's a vague, it's kind of like canthus stitching on the pattern. So you can see these like yellow lines. Can you see that? So those yellow lines are straight. So I'm using, everything's just temporaried so that I get it roughly into position. And then I'm just gonna have a look at where my yellow lines are running slightly askew, just by eye, because otherwise this pattern has no other it's so abstract, it has no reference point of whether it's straight or not. And by having everything running straight, it means that everything just goes on much nicer, and that's why I temporary it all, so that I can just check these things. I put a temporary staple in. I'll show you how I do a temporary staple. So I put a temporary staple in, so pull that nice and tight. So a normal staple I put in like this. A temporary one, I angle my gun so that the staple goes in at a funny angle. Otherwise the staple goes in so deep that if you need to remove it, it makes a big hole, whereas with the temporary one, it's so much easier to remove. Okay, everything looks like it's running pretty straight up until this section where I get a little bit too, I have too much of a pull in that section. Okay. From there, and that kind of makes sense because I think that was the first pull that I did. So I probably just over pulled it. So that all needs to come over this way. Possibly here as well. That doesn't look like it's in the right place. That piece there, that looks really nice and straight now. Possibly just that one there needs adjusting. Yeah, that looks really straight now. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, that looks perfect now. And that tightness is good. So I can go ahead and staple. Yay. I absolutely hate wasting fabric, and so when I lay everything on, there was, you know, this much extra on the end, so I just, instead of cutting right down the middle, I tried to kind of cut around it so that I could keep my border piece intact, and it is the perfect size. It's absolutely perfect. So I'm going to use the scraps from that for the border. I need to cut a little bit extra for it because it's not quite long enough. I know it's only a small amount. I thought of throwing that away when I could use it, and then I can just save on fabric. So I like to reduce wastage as much as I can in those ways. So I still need to cut my pillow stop, the piping. Although I want to wait for my sister to get home if she wants contrast piping or not. And I kind of want to suggest doing contrast piping. I feel like it would look quite nice. I can cut everything else for now. So I'm going to sew the border because it's not long enough. I need to just sew a seam onto there. £12 by 66. This fabric's easy to cut because it's got those yellow canthry stitches as the pattern. That's my straight line, so I don't need to worry about drawing a straight line. I can just cut along those yellow lines. So that saves a lot of time. Anything that can just save you a few seconds is worth doing, I think. Just need to cut a little extra piece for my border. So, how perfect is that? This little chunk is all that's needed. That line. Cool, so I've just got to sew my border and pillow stop pieces together. Ed is making his driveway a bit bigger, so he's doing that right next to the window just here. So that's the background noise if you can hear it, so apologies for that. I'm not pattern matching this pillow stop, but I still like to sew it as if I am, because I just know, because this linen's quite, it's not very stiff. I just like to know that I'm sewing a straight line, so I prefer sewing it in that way. But yeah, it's not pattern matched or anything. Still waiting for a piping decision. I might give her a call in a bit, but I thought I'll just do the pillow, the pillow stop for now. So I'd rather chat to her in person. Oh yeah, so I'm living with my sister now. I'm loving it, and they've let me have a workroom here, which I'm so grateful for. I think that's one thing about my family, which I'm so lucky, because we're all quite artistic. So my mum's an artist and a goldsmith. She's a goldsmith by trade, but she does more. She can't really see so well now, so she does more painting. And being raised by an artist is so nice, because we've always been able to just use the house as our canvas, and like my mum's never been like, oh, you can't do that, you can't do that. We've always just had paint all over the kitchen table, every single piece of crafty thing you could possibly imagine in the house. And my mum's just never been precious about, like, oh well, this room has to be a lounge or has to be a dining room. Like, my mum would way rather have a workshop than have a dining room. But my mum's just always been so like, oh well, you know, it's our house, we can do what we want with it. She's like, oh, I don't want a posh lounge one bit. I'd rather have an upholstery workshop. So yeah, that's my mum just being. And then my sister's exactly the same. She's like, she wants her kids to just be like creative and grow up just knowing that the world is their oyster. And it's so nice, because to be raised in that way just opens everything up to so many opportunities. It's like, I would never have become an upholsterer if I wasn't allowed to have a workroom at home. It just would have been impossible. It's really nice. I'm so lucky. Yeah, that all looks good. I've been given the green light to do a contrast piping. I have this brownie which I thought I was going to use. Do you really like it? But like, the tone's slightly different. This is slightly bluey, which I don't think I want to do. I did think maybe I could use the selvage of this, and then obviously it won't be cut on the bias, but that's not the end of the world, because this fabric's quite stretchy, because then it's defos the same colour. And I just, like, I could use this fabric, but I just think having a contrast just looks so nice. If I use the selvage, that looks quite nice. You see, like, that stands out, whereas that just doesn't. It still looks really pretty. I do love self-piping on occasion, but I think for this, that looks nicer. I've also got this. On the outside, it's this kind of geometric-y print, but the outside of it is this like lovely thick linen. Yeah, I'm going to do that. But I'm going to make piping out of the back of this fabric. I need 7 meters, I think. I'm in such good mood today. I think it's the sun. It's still really cold, but just the blue sky, sun beaming down. And then working on a project with my sister, which I love. Working with a nice fabric. Working on a gorge headboard. Like, sometimes life's just really great. I think this morning I woke up in, not in a bad mood, but you know when you can kind of tell that you could be in a bit of a bad mood. I was like, I feel like I have potential to be grumpy today. And then as soon as I got up, I had a shower and went for a walk into town. And just doing that put me in a great mood. Sunlight in this room is incredible. Now this piping needs to sit right on, I put my stitching right on the edge of my wood. Whenever you come to a sharp corner, I do a relief cut. For a gradual curve like this, I don't relief cut my piping, but for a very dramatic one, like on our Medusa shape, where it's like practically a circle, then I do relief cuts for those. But you can kind of feel when you need a relief cut, like if it's resisting you or anything, then you know that you need to do relief cuts. So I love the contrast piping because it just, the shape stands out so much more. I love the chunkiness of the piping. Looks really good. Oh my god. How nice does that look? Oh my gosh. Also, my auntie is a composer. I had dinner with her the other day and she said that she's going to make me a piece of music that I can use as my YouTube intro. And so I don't know how long it's going to take, so it might not be the intro for this video. But pretty soon I'm going to have my own custom piece of music that she's going to make for me. And I've asked for something gentle, feminine, relaxing and positive. I think that's what I want. Thank you, Eddie. It's nice to get a tea delivery in this house. Oh, I think Tash might have just got home. She'll come in and see this in a minute. This is all just the scraps of what I cut off putting the headboard on. So I try to use my scraps as much as possible. Hey, Dad.
Oh, that's beautiful.
How unreal.
Oh,
I love the piping so much.
Yeah, because when it's the same...
When it's the same, you just don't see it. How it's done. So cool.
The shape is beautiful.
Love the shape. The colour.
Oh, Tom.
Thank you.
Love it.
Me too. Love ya. Got to get pizza and tea delivered in this house. That's so good. Poly scissors. Yeah, I don't use my good scissors for polywadding. I think I've said that already. But I have, they look quite similar, but these I only use for top fabric. So that just is what keeps them really sharp. It's still important to have good enough scissors for polywadding. You don't want really blunt ones, but these are just they're the first scissors I ever bought, and they were probably good at the beginning, and then they've just got a little bit more blunt over the time. And if there's any bits where your back tag's not quite playing ball, if it's sitting lumpy or anything, then you just can hammer it. And there's construction going on outside. These are what my labels look like. Pucci, made in the UK. Okay, it's all finished. Look at the scale of this one, it's our slightly taller one. It's absolutely massive.
So pleased with it. Looks unreal. Okay, so then we'll do this cushion.
Oh my god.
And then the question is, do we match that piping?
Yes,
The beige.
definitely.
Do you think?
Or do we go French?
I think.
I feel like a brush French would be quite cool. So long skinny cushion.
Oh, and would you do that piping on the cushion? Because it will have two really large cushions, then a beige one, and then
That
those
at the
two like
front.
long ones at the front. Or is that too much?
No, I don't think I'd do this. I think, yeah, this,
I think we should do
this
the beige.
cream. Yeah, that would be cool.
But like, look at that, the shell grotto.
Oh my god, I love it together.
Dreamy dreams.
Unreal.
We love. And then they've got the little shell. The wall lights are scallops like this.
Oh
Just
my
to
god,
make
that's
it
so
even more
cute.
cute.
How cute! It's got like cantha stitching kind of.
I know.
Really nice.
Yeah, it's like your round quilted one, isn't it?
Yeah. Love.
Okay, we love.